It was a heartbreaking sight. Remy Ma, once the fierce and confident queen of the Mick, sitting in silence as her only son, Jason Scott, stood accused of a murder that had torn apart more than one family. No words could explain the pain etched on her face. This wasn't the kind of battle she could fight with bars or on a stage. This was real life, raw and merciless. Jason was just 23, still figuring out adulthood, and now he faced a courtroom full of judgment and uncertainty. For Remy, this was every mother's nightmare unfolding in front of cameras and court records, and she couldn't do a thing to stop it. The incident in question happened back in 2021, during a heated confrontation that ended in gunfire. Prosecutors alleged that Jason was the one who pulled the trigger, and that the shooting was intentional. The victim was a young man with a future ahead of him, and his grieving family sat just feet away in that courtroom, hoping for justice. Emotions ran high on both sides, and the pressure in the courtroom was almost unbearable. But what made this case even more explosive was the rumor that rapper 50 Cent had taken the stand, possibly offering testimony that didn't go in Jason's favor. That twist stunned the hip-hop community. People who once performed on the same stages were now entangled in courtroom drama that no one saw coming. For years, Remy had worked hard to rebuild her life and her image after serving time in prison herself. She knew what it meant to lose time, to lose trust, and she had promised herself that her child would never go down that same road. But now here he was, wearing a suit instead of a hoodie, sitting next to his lawyers instead of friends, trying to convince a jury that he deserved a second chance, or at least the benefit of doubt. People online were quick to judge, speculating whether Jason had grown up around too much violence, too much fame, too many bad influences. But those close to him described him as quiet, intelligent, and respectful, someone who had dreams beyond the headlines. The court proceedings were intense. Witnesses came and went, each one bringing their own piece to the puzzle. Some stories painted Jason as the aggressor. Others said it was self-defense, that the situation escalated too quickly for anyone to make the right decision. Through it all, Remy sat quietly, sometimes whispering to her legal team, sometimes looking straight ahead, not blinking. She'd lived through her own trial, her own prison sentence, but this, watching her child go through it, was a different kind of torment. A mother's heartbreak can't be compared to anything else. What made matters worse was the media circus. Every step Remy took outside the courtroom, cameras followed. Every look she gave, every tear she wiped away, was turned into a headline. Some blogs accused her of raising her son wrong. Others said she was being punished for her own past. But Remy didn't care what strangers said. Her only focus was her son. She stood by him, never missing a single court date, even when things felt impossible. Because deep down, no matter what the world said, he was still her baby. And in her heart, she believed in him. When 50 Cent's name came up, people were shocked. His relationship with Remy had always been rocky, but no one expected him to appear in a case like this. While details of his alleged testimony remain unclear, many fans felt betrayed. Some said he had crossed a line, especially since this wasn't just music beef, this was a life hanging in the balance. Others believed he was simply doing what he thought was right. But for Remy, it felt like another stab in the back, a reminder of how cruel the industry could be when real life starts bleeding into entertainment. Jason's defense team argued that there wasn't enough clear evidence to convict him. They pointed out inconsistencies in the prosecution's story, challenged the ballistics reports, and claimed that the state was relying more on assumptions than facts. Still, the weight of the accusation hung heavy. Everyone knew that one wrong statement, one emotional outburst, could sway the jury. So, Jason kept his head down, spoke only when asked, and hoped his truth would be enough. Meanwhile, Remy tried her best to be strong, even when her hands trembled behind folded arms. The victim's family cried through much of the trial. Their son was gone, and no courtroom verdict could bring him back. But they wanted answers. They wanted accountability. And they wanted to know that someone would be held responsible. Their pain was just as real, just as valid. In that courtroom, two families were broken, one mourning a loss, the other fearing one. And in the middle of it all was Jason, accused, but not yet convicted, carrying the burden of both grief and guilt on his young shoulders. In her quiet moments, Remy reflected on the choices that had brought them to this point. She remembered holding Jason as a newborn, swearing she'd protect him from every danger, every shadow. She had fought so hard to stay out of trouble, to give him a better life. But life doesn't follow scripts. It twists, turns, and sometimes leaves you breathless. And now, she was left hoping that justice wouldn't just mean punishment but truth, context, and maybe even mercy. Because no matter what the outcome, her love for her son would never be on trial. The verdict hasn't come yet, but the pain already feels permanent. This case has shown the world a side of Remy Ma most people never knew: vulnerable, hurting, fiercely protective. And whether people love her or hate her, they're watching. But for Remy, the only thing that matters is her son walking out of that courtroom with his head held high and his future still intact. Because at the end of the day, music fades, headlines change, but a mother's love never dies. The judge flat out refused to throw out 50 Cent's testimony. He made it clear that if any other evidence backs it up, it stays, meaning Remy's defense is in serious trouble. Outside the courthouse, chaos erupted. Protesters clashed, some shouting "Free Remy," others demanding justice. Someone even spray-painted "Guilty Ma" on her Escalade. To top it off, Papoose didn't ride home with her that night. No comforting touch, just two separate cars and deafening silence. Things got really messy when someone sent a secret recording to media outlets. It claimed to be from a housekeeper's hidden device at Remy and Papoose's home, just days after their son's murder. In it, a man says, "You said you'd handle it clean. Now we got 50 running his mouth in court." Then a woman, supposedly Remy, replies, "I told him to stay out of it. He did this to himself." Goosebumps. Remy's team immediately labeled it fake audio trickery meant to frame her, but the judge demanded a forensic check. Then the prosecution dropped more bombs while the jury was away. They revealed Remy had moved hundreds of thousands of dollars through shell companies in the Caymans and Bahamas weeks before her son's death. Some transfers were listed as security payments, others bluntly labeled silencing expenses. Legal analysts called it the most reckless financial trail in celebrity crime history, with speculation that she wanted to get caught while flaunting it to TMZ like a statement. Enter Jasmine Dior, the victim's girlfriend's mom, arriving in a red trench coat, clutching what she claimed was the victim's diary. One chilling line reportedly read, "If anything happens to me, don't trust her." Though Remy's team says it's forged, handwriting experts confirmed it matched the teen's school and therapy notes, so prosecutors accepted it. Layer all that with 50's bombshell court words, the secret audio, financial records, and a diary warning Remy's claim of innocence is looking fragile. Then Papoose vanished from court entirely, no answer when reporters swarmed him. Later, an anonymous letter surfaced, handwritten, saying, "I tried to protect the family. If she goes down, we both do." Now people wonder, will he testify next? Social media exploded. A TikTok reenactment of the courtroom went viral, complete with trap beat audio and tears. Meanwhile, Remy's old songs on Spotify jumped 300 clearly. Scandal sells, but civil rights groups are calling foul, asking why this trial is headline news while so many ordinary cases are overlooked. Critics say authorities are using celebrity drama for clicks, just when things couldn't get crazier. The prosecution revealed they're tying Remy to an underground cleanup network, people who erase phone data, wipe surveillance, and assist elite clients. Some even worked on cleanup after a high-profile rapper's 2019 assault case. The judge, caught on hot mic, muttered, "If half of this is true, she's done." The courtroom trembled. Finally, a surprise witness arrived. Tasha Denaro, a longtime assistant and family friend. She walked in with no makeup, all black, holding a note. In her testimony, she said 2 weeks before the murder, Remy, Papoose, and she met privately. Remy complained about her son snooping through her files, adding, "If he keeps talking, I might lose everything." Papoose listened and never stopped her. That admission caused Remy to break down and cry reportedly. Live microphones picked up her shoulder, shaking sob. Yikes. Legal experts now say the case is collapsing on Remy's side. Her lawyers tried to declare a mistrial, claiming this was character assassination, not facts, but the judge sided with prosecutors, calling Tasha's testimony ground for conviction. Then Papoose showed up in court. He sat in silence, no ring, no expression. Under questioning, he confirmed attending the private meeting and stated that Remy feared her son's knowledge could wreck her career. He closed with a chilling line, "I loved her, but I'm not going to prison for her." That statement alone slammed the door on any comeback. Afterwards, the prosecution closed their case, leaving Remy's defense with nothing but character witnesses and emotional appeals. The jury now faces weeks of deliberation with heavy evidence: 50's words, secret audio, offshore money transfers, that diary, Tasha's testimony, and Papooses' betrayal. This has moved far beyond a normal murder trial. It's become a public heartbreak, a family unraveling, and a media spectacle. On one side, Remy's supporters argue she's being framed by a system that hasn't forgiven her past. On the other, critics say this is a stunning fall from grace, evidence of lethal power and gut-punch betrayal. Major artists and record labels are distancing themselves. Her beauty line paused shipments. Joe Budden commented in disbelief. And whispers persist that prosecutors want Papooses' cooperation in a larger federal case involving dirty money, witness tampering, and possible more deaths. Suddenly, Remy Ma is no longer alone in the spotlight. This whole house could be collapsing. Now, the jury is deciding fate on conspiracy to commit murder. Remy looked pale, expressionless as the clerk read the verdict: guilty or not guilty. That remains unknown. But the trial already shattered illusions. 50 Cent